You struggle with your sun sign making sense to you. Like maybe you feel like you've outgrown it or the generic statements just don't fit. And I'm not talking about looking at your rising, your moon, etc. I'm talking about your sun sign. Well, so did I, so have I. But it wasn't until I discovered the 3 stages of the zodiac where everything made sense to me, because it evolves as we evolve. Now, each zodiac has 3 stages. So if you're a Capricorn, stay tuned and let's talk about it. All right, Caps, let's talk about your 3 stages. And the first stage being the goat, which is the normal zodiac symbol that you see. Now, as the goat, you all are earthly creatures. Now, the goat may not be as majestic as like the lion, but everyone relies on them and they are hardworking, or they feel like they are kind of holding the pieces together. People tend to depend on them for many, many, many different reasons. And this is what we call the typical Capricorn: hardworking, striving to provide security, where there's kind of like the hunt for money and success and trying to create that stability to be there for everyone that needs. Now, while they can be very hardworking and they can be dependable, here's what kind of happens in this phase. People that are in the goat phase, which is the first stage, tend to come across people that may be abusive, whether it's an abusive relationship, abusive friendships. Maybe they grew up in a household or parents that didn't really support them or have issues. This may be being in a situation or an event where it feels like people are using you or taking advantage of you, or it feels like very unkind. You will find in the stage 2 that if you suffer from a lot of anxiety, if you suffer with low self-worth or identity issues, or you're always in the wrong or you can never do enough, this is still that phase. Now, once we hit that phase, or Caps hit that phase as the goat, then they evolve and go to the next step, or really the next stage. And that is the cave. So at this point in a Capricorn's journey, when they hit the cave, this is where they go through a sense of isolation. This is where they tend to pull back from people, or the universe is like, hey, we're doing this for you, and you pull back into your own space. This means cutting off those people that may have been not so nice and not so kind, having to rediscover maybe a parental relationship, or ending a relationship or friendships. And unfortunately, in this phase, a lot of healthy friendships and relationships also come to a close, because maybe there's a sense of needing to evolve, or a sense of being by yourself to be able to figure out what exactly it is. So if you're feeling this sense of isolation and rediscovering yourself and looking deep within, then you might be in the cave state. Now, while Capricorn will go into the isolation stage because they feel endangered, or they feel like they need to take care of themselves, or they feel like they need to look within. This is where other people may find them to be very selfish, self-centered, only after one thing, or having the internal battles of really struggling to turn off old habits and rewire those and heal through them. This is the stage where there's a lot of work. It also feels like maybe the universe has isolated you, but just know that the work that's being done here takes you to the 3rd stage, which is the one where we start seeing things come in. The 3rd stage of Capricorn is the Horn of Plenty, or also known as a cornucopia. At this point, after coming out of the cave, coming out of isolation, after having to learn all of the tough lessons and rebuild exactly where they're going, this is where they understand what exactly is important and what is abundant in their life. And they start attracting it. They start attracting the foundation, the relationships, the stability that they need. They start attracting a number of abundance, but they realize that the abundance comes from the state of mind. So they'll start finding abundance in spirituality and materialistic or materialism things that they're looking for. But the one piece here that's super important is that a Cap truly understands what it means to be a Cap, their worth. They've overcome what we talked about that happens in the goat phase, and they know how to stand within themselves. And this is where they become truly abundant. This is where you start seeing them make a bunch of moves financially. This is where we start seeing them really come into their own, where yes, they're still hard workers, yes, they're still there for people, but they're able to be there in a way that makes sense for them and a way that, you know, can make sense for other people. But Capricorn knows that they have to make sure that they come first to be able to be there for everybody else. And in the isolation phase, again, there's that lesson of like selfishness. So this is where we see the full balance come together with, and they truly become rich, stable, and safe in everything that they're looking for. Now, if you liked this, let me know. But if you're a Cap, have you seen the different stages that you've been through? Which one do you feel like you're in?